So, sir, my first question is, what role does Automechanika New Delhi play in strengthening the India's position in global auto components value chain?
So, as you would probably know, that the Automechanika is the strongest brand when it comes to a global aftermarket exhibition, and the Automechanika Frankfurt show is probably the world's largest aftermarket show. And ACMA is very proud to have partnered with the Messe Frankfurt, and we have brought them to India, and this was in 2013, and we've had 6 very successful edition, and this is by far the largest ACMA Automechanika in India. And what is also very, very interesting is that since the last edition in 2024, the show has doubled this year. So we were earlier 25,000 square meters, and this time we are 51,000 square meters. We had 400 exhibitors in the last edition. This time we have 900 exhibitors. So it's a very, very vibrant show. And I think while I would say the Indian auto component industry is coming of age, partnering with a brand like Automechanika puts us on the global map very, very firmly. So it's a two-way street. They sort of gain from the vibrancy of the Indian market because, it's a very important show for them now. And from the Indian auto component industry's first perspective, they get to leverage the Automechanika network, if I may say so, because Automechanika happens in many locations across the world. And this also helps. I believe we had an announcement of the other shows today. So, it goes two ways. Yeah.
Yes. So, sir, the auto component industry has shown strong growth in FY26.
Yes.
So, what are the key contributors behind this momentum?
Well, I think I would first of all give a lot of marks to the government for the recent GST change that happened, rationalization of GST that happened in the month of September. And that was a very long-standing ask of the auto component industry because we suffered 2 rates. One was 18% and another was 28%. So some items were 18% and some were at 28%. And those items that were in the 28% and largely there was part selling in the aftermarket, that created an opportunity for the grey operators or the spurious operators to, evade taxes, because 28% tax in an industry where most players are small, medium, and micro, it sort of pushes you to be price competitive.
Right.
They would get into these kind of malpractices, and these are unorganized players. So this cutting down of GST has helped to a large extent clean up such grey and spurious operations. But what it also did was, it was a shot in the arm for the vehicle industry. And you've seen post-September, especially in the festive season, we had a huge, I would say, boom in the sales of vehicles. And that has, in some sense, also that pulls the consumption of auto components. And so I would say that has been a very remarkable, I would say, delivery from the government, notwithstanding the fact in last sort of 3 or 4 days, we witnessed huge hectic activities and a very strong delivery from the government. We had the EU-India FTA, then we had the budget, and then 2 days ago we had the deal with USA announced by President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, and I believe that will also bring in a lot of mirth and goodwill and enthuse the industry further. So all in all, good times. Yes.
Okay, sir. So you said it is a aftermarket, it was an unorganized industry. So now, what challenges does the Indian aftermarket faces as it becoming more structural and organized?
So the aftermarket is not not the entire aftermarket is not unorganized. We have, I would say, three kind of players. You can bucket them. One is the OEM aftermarket. The other one is the OES aftermarket, or the aftermarket where the strong brands from the domestic component players are present, the independent aftermarket as we call it. And the third bucket is the grey operations, the spurious operations, the unorganized operations. And very interestingly, these are all three buckets almost equal in size. Okay. But what we are observing, one, because of the tax rationalization, and secondly, because we are finding a lot of structural change that the market itself is going, because one, we find increased formalization that's happening in the market. The independent aftermarket players are setting up their channels in the hinterland. You're finding the vehicle sales getting into the hinterland. They are setting their own service networks. And also, e-commerce is sort of helping people buy genuine components from the e-commerce portals. So many things are happening at the same time. That's actually helping evolve the market, becoming more formal in nature. And I guess that's very good for the industry and for the consumer.
Right, sir. So, sir, how could the India-US trade deal and India-EU deal impacting the exports, technology, collab and global competitiveness for Indian aftermarket?
Well, I think both the USA and the European Union are very strategic markets when it comes to the Indian auto component industry. First of all, the auto component industry is a very export competitive industry, and last year we exported almost 1/3 of our production. We exported close to $22.9 billion, while our turnover was $80.2 billion. And both the USA, or the North America, and the European Union are each around $7 billion worth. So these are very important markets, and with the new trade deals coming in, we expect a lot more focus on technology and investments from an India side. What the trade deal will probably do will create market access for the European and the US companies if they are able to harness the India market opportunity. We are paving the way for it. But the way we look from an Indian perspective is that, let's say, the FTAs would probably also liberalize a lot of bureaucratic rules of taking over, So Europe has a lot of small and medium enterprises, technology rich, where the second generation does not want to continue with business. This will be an opportunity for Indian component players to buy those kinds of companies. There's already some of these takeovers that have happened in the past, but this will hasten them and make it easier. And from a US perspective, I think, again, this paves way for more collaboration on the technology front. And US continues to be an important market, and we believe that the duty rationalization that is going to happen would probably, I would say, help us maintain our exports. You see, earlier we were accessing at lesser rate of duty, close to nil, but now there's going to be an 18% duty, but again, you have to look at duties from a relative perspective, because everybody's going to face duties, right? Whether it is Europe, whether it's Japan or Korea. I'm just naming some of the competitive countries. So it's all relative, and I think the Indian auto component industry, because the way we work, we are hugely price competitive, and with the duties coming down from say 50 to 18, we will hopefully be able to maintain our level of export.
Right. So, sir, how is how is ACMA helping members transition toward higher quality, compliance, and global standards?
So many things. One, on the global standards and quality thing, both ACMA and SIAM work very closely at the UNECE WP29, and we work together with the government of India at the WP29 in the standard setting up process for global automotive industry. And as you know, the government of India is very committed to bring international standards into India. There's a little bit of a phase gap between the international standard and the Indian, and this is fast reducing. So the industry has to operate in that framework of standards that is prescribed by the government, because it's a huge safety critical item, the vehicle itself, so you cannot make a compromise on it. So by nature of that, with the boundary condition that is there, we are hugely you yourself, when you sort of see the kind of vehicles that are on the Indian roads, be it cars, commercial vehicle, or two-wheelers, they're world class today. So if the vehicle is world class, it cannot be without what's sitting inside, and that's us, right? So we are world class too.
So the final question is, in coming years, what trends do you see in Indian aftermarket?
So, from a broad perspective, I think a formalization of the aftermarket, that will definitely be a key trend, and that would also be by the growing trend in digitalization and the e-commerce that will come by. Secondly, of course, the aftermarket is a reflection of the trends in the vehicle industry. It cannot be different, right? Because you are, and as vehicles get complicated, the industry will have to invest more in skilling, invest more in capital equipment for purposes of diagnostics, for purpose of meeting the technological challenges. There'll be a lot more software sitting inside the vehicles. So the entire technology is changing, and the entire ecosystem supporting them will have to evolve accordingly.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.